not in it. My husband is right here, but we can't see you. There you go.
Come on with both hats. Love
yes,
it.
y'all
Love
looking
it.
good over there.
I'm
Yes.
telling you.
Thank
Look at that black love shining through. We love it.
We love it.
Hey, Ronnie and Shamari, how y'all doing?
Good,
Wonderful.
good.
How you guys doing? You know, they always talking about this tea thing, and I'm hearing y'all definitely sprinkling and spreading and sipping on a whole bunch of it right now, huh?
Listen, it's a lot going on over here, okay?
Right.
It's a whole lot. You guys know that tomorrow night is the reunion for Put a Ring on It. And thanks to so many people that have given support, and you guys know what that life is like, you know, people just showing up, giving support for the work that you do. There is so much conversation now in our community about relationships based on the show. So tomorrow night is going to be the reunion. And oh my goodness, like you said, sprinkling in the tea.
Yeah.
Good. It's going to be a lot going on. So you guys tag your friends, let them know that Shamari and Ronnie are here with us, and we are about to have an amazing conversation about Black love. You know, you guys, thank you so much for coming. We know that you all have those beautiful twins, and you all both have amazing things that you're doing in our community. So first and foremost, just thank you for taking the time. We are having this conversation where Crystal and I, first of all, to everybody, I'm Dr. Nicole. If you are from Ronnie and Shamari's community, welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in the room. I'm Dr. Nicole of Put. I am the host of Put a Ring on It. But most importantly, my wonder twin and I run Sister Diamonds, where we literally help Black women in the conversation and the cultivation of love and leadership. So my sister from another mister, Crystal Khalil, is over here in the other box. Love, love, love. So if you are from Shamari and Ronnie's community, you can follow us on Sister Diamonds LLC or Ask Dr. Nicole. Join us tomorrow night for the reunion of Put a Ring on It. And definitely, if you're single, join us for the Heart of the Matter conversations on September 18th. If you are in a relationship, you need to be there on the 19th of September for our masterclass. And for those that are in our community, what can we say but give love to Ronnie and Shamari Devoe? If you are not following them, I don't know what you're doing. Like
have y'all read the blueprint?
You know what I'm saying? Like, what? We don't really know what's going on, right?
Yes.
If you haven't heard about the residency, if you haven't heard about the blueprint, we're not gonna say you're under a rock, but come on out. Come on out.
Right.
Come on in the room and give them the love that they absolutely deserve.
Yes.
So welcome you all. Welcome.
Thank you
For
so
real.
for having us. It's an honor to be here talking about relationships.
Yes.
My husband and I are marriage ambassadors, and we just love this type of talk. So thank you so much for having us.
Yes. Well, you know, one of the things that we start with, you know, in our community back in the day, they were like, don't tell nothing. What happens in this house stays in this house. Don't share nothing about your relationship. Stay isolated. And what we're saying now is Black love is a community affair.
Yes.
Definitely good boundaries and all the good stuff.
Yes.
But the yummy in part comes from Black love being a community affair. What does that mean to you all?
It looks like us, like you said, it is a community affair. I mean, we're two Black individuals in love and, you know, staying committed to our vows, but at the same time, it's about.
I love that. Hey.
Yes. Hi, babies.
Got one of our sons on that side of the couch, and the other one is over here on this side of the couch.
But right.
They're your community.
It's 9 o'clock. It's their household. They're right where they're supposed to be.
And they're like, since you're talking about community, we the community too.
Yeah, they're part of the community. like it's about family, raising your kids. Be quiet, son. Raising your kids, young kings and young queens.
Yeah.
Black love is a movement to better our communities. Like you said, it's a movement. It's like you have to talk about it. You have to be transparent.
Yeah.
You know, you have to relate to other people in order for them to see that Black love can work. And it's important for it to work, because if Black love is not working, then our kids are suffering at the end of the day.
Yes.
And our kids are the people that are growing up to be, you know, professors and all types of things, doctors. And we need families to stick together so that it can impact and strengthen our community. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
Love that.
I agree. I agree as well. It's something that we do on a yearly basis, and this came out of conversations with our marriage coach and counselor, and we always give praise and love to Martez Quadrina.
Yes,
right.
Of Dream Builders Coaching and Counseling,
Yes.
baby.
Yes.
Love it.
This Married for Life walk that we do every year, right, is about like-minded individuals coming together, like holding each other's hands on a 1 mile walk up and down. But before we do that, it's about sharing testimonies with each other, right?
Yes.
You can learn just as much to a certain extent for somebody that's been married for a year, that's willing to be transparent and share, as you can from somebody that's been married for 25 or 30 years that may be a little bit more closed off and not willing to open up. So community is what it's all about. It's each one teach one. And we love to basically put our stuff on blast, because somebody might find some similarities in their relationship based on our testimony that may be able to help them get through some tough times or what have you. So man, we love it.
That's beautiful. And I know that you all put God first. I mean, I see that on your social media when you talk about it, and I think that's a beautiful thing. At what point in your marriage did you realize that your marriage was a ministry?
Oh, man.
Yeah. At what point did we, I think it was at a point where we weren't paying attention to each other and asking those same questions that you ask when you initially meet each other, right? Like, so when you're getting to know each other, it's, you know, what color do you like? What are your goals and dreams and desires? Like, what are your talents? What are your gifts? What flowers do you like? All of those kinds of things make the other person feel wanted and needed and loved and paid attention to, right? And then after you kind of find out some of those things early on in your relationship, after the first 6 months, year, what have you, you begin to feel like, okay, I know this person, there's no need for me to kind of ask those questions. And before you know it, you're drifting in different directions, because we're all beings that are kind of ever changing to a certain extent. My favorite color today may be different 3 years from now because of some trauma that I went through about the color red, and now it's green, have you, right? But if my wife is not asking me those questions constantly and engaging me, and vice versa, then other people are asking those questions at work or what have you, and now, you know, she, you know, they have the ear of your wife, or they have the ear of your husband or your spouse or what have you. So I think communication and not asking those questions and speaking to each other's needs, you know, our relationship began to do this, go in separate directions. So go ahead.
Yeah, like I think that it became like more of a ministry after we went through those challenges. We had like 6 months of marriage counseling with with Martez and with Drina Layton. I mean, they would come to our house like every week and spend 2 hours or more with us. And it was like we had to put in the work. It like relationships take a lot of work. It was like going to school. We had to like do homework. Like really on what each other's love languages are. And
wait, babe. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm sorry. I thought you might have said a mystery, but you said ministry.
Ministry.
Which is active listening, which is something that we practice. I should have been active listening to both of y'all, but my fault.
Love that.
Right, right. So, but you was talking about, you know, you was talking some good talk, so it was all good.
You were. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you making a lot of sense, but like, the ministry part. So after we started just praying together, like we really during like the first we prayed together, but we wasn't serious about praying together. It was probably like the first maybe, let's see, we got married in 2006, and we didn't really start being serious about putting God first until like 2015. So what is that like? Man, that's a long time.
That's a long time. Yeah. Yeah.
God first. After we went through the challenges, we were like, we need God first and foremost. Like, we need you to come into our marriage, to come into our life, because we can't do this without you. You are number one. And then comes my husband, number two. God is number one. So put him first. We went through counseling. And when we came out of the challenges that was basically designed to just, like what we went through, we were on the verge of getting a divorce. But when we came out of that, we realized that we need to start telling people about our story and what we went through in order to help save as many marriages as we can. So that's what we realized. We wanted to become marriage ambassadors and be representatives for marriage, you know? So yeah.
We love that. We love that, because one of the things that you're saying is what we're saying on this end. When you talk about, first of all, acknowledgement, kudos, encouragement, claps, all of that.
And fingers,
for being able, for speaking the truth and not just showing the highlight reel, right? Because we get caught up in people's highlight reel and we miss what helped to create what you're looking at. So when you talk about counseling, when you talk about doing the work, when you talk about moving out of that honeymoon phase, right? And really being vested in the other person's growth. Because the honeymoon phase is full of questions, right? It's when you're now in it and you're building a life, the question becomes, do you really want to be a part of the other person's growth?
Yes.
Really being clear. You don't want them growing without you.
Right.
You don't want certain memories and moments to be had with other people. You want to have it with the person you're building with.
Yeah.
So how did you all decide, especially being a public couple, how did you all decide to be open to counseling and to trust that that was a confidential process that could support and help you figure it out?
Well, let me jump in, right? We went to premarital counseling, right? We had probably 5 or 6 sessions that was really helpful walking into our marriage, right? Some good foundational tools of support, right? Walking into our marriage. Then after that, it was a wrap, right? Fast forward to the point, and at different times in our relationship, I'd say for the first about 6 or 7 years, Shamari would come to me every now and then and say, Ron, I think we need to probably, revisit some counseling just to make sure we're on solid ground in our relationship. And as a Black man, right, if there are any Black men listening, you guys understand the apprehension that we have about sharing, or airing our dirty laundry. It's always been get up off the ground, dust yourself off, don't cry, toughen up, all of these different things, right? So I didn't understand, like, look, I don't need to share myself with anybody. I know what I'm doing in my relationship, even though I come from a broken home, right, where my mom and my dad got a divorce when I was probably 3 and a half, so I didn't have the blueprint for what a successful relationship looked like. But at the same time, I didn't want to seek the information to figure out what I needed to do, right? And it wasn't until we got to the point to where after we were separated, Shamari's living in another place, she's running around doing her thing, I'm running around doing my thing, and at some point we began to look back at each other and feel like, okay, if I always felt like I wanted be married one time and one time only, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I look back at things, I just felt like, okay, if I'm gonna really stay focused on something that I felt like I always wanted to do, let me open myself up to the possibility of one last possibility for our relationship, and that was in counseling. And honestly, we went through probably about, and sorry, that's our dog Blake. He's trying to say hello to everybody.
Hey,
Like,
No
Blake.
problem. Hey, Blake.
No problem.
we went through probably maybe 4 or 5 different counselors initially, and it was a male one time, it was a female another time, and it seemed like there were kind of slanted opinions to a certain extent, like, you know, a little bit more on this side, you know, if it was a woman, or a little bit more on this side if it was a man. And it wasn't until we both agreed that we need to seek counseling from a couple, you know, a Black couple that has kind of walked the walk that we've walked
at
to a
least
certain
15
extent.
years being married. That was the criteria. They have to be married at least 15 years and has to be, you know, a God-fearing couple. So that's what we found.
So that's what it was. Like me just kind of, you know, pulling the guard down, knocking the wall, feeling like I'm going to open myself up to the possibilities that somebody may be able to teach me how to do this thing a lot better than we have, because obviously we haven't done it correctly, and I take responsibility for some of that, and my wife was willing to do that as well.
That's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing. Because one of the things we say in our tribe is whatever you focus on expands, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times in relationships, we focus on the negative things, and we focus on, you know, the things that are pulling us apart, and that just pulls us apart even more. But what you focused on was coming back together and finding the tools, the right tools to make it work. And you put in the work. And my sister and I talk about all the time how it seems like in relationships, sometimes you build in a skyscraper with a butter knife and a back and the heel of a shoe, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Tools that you got from your broken family, or your, you know, you didn't have other people in your life to look to and say, how do I do this? How do I make this work, right? So what are some of the tools that you learned when you went back and you started putting in the work? What are some of the tools that you learned to make your marriage work?
Is definitely learning what each other's love languages are. Now that's very important. Like is acts of services and physical touch. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
So you just have to know, and mine, they are words of affirmation and quality time. Yes. So like, we just have to know what each other's love languages are so that we can cater to them. Because if his love language is, you know, physical touch and acts of services, for me, that's like pulling teeth, because I have to really, I have to really work, right. I have to really work on focusing on, you know, catering to his needs and his love languages, like, you know, acts of services, like cooking a little bit more. I don't like to cook, okay? But for him, you know, this is something that he likes. So I have to understand that in order to make him happy. Quality time. Like, I love spending time with him. Like, if he has to go to a meeting, I'm like, can I go, please? You know, it's like, I want to be with him like every second. Like, can me and the boys come with you guys? Can we go, like, if you go to the post office, can we just ride in the car with you? It's like, time, you know, I just want to be with you.
And I'm sitting there like, come on, I just need a little space.
Right, because it's like pulling teeth for him. That's not one of his love languages.
Right. But the thing that is so critical is that a lot of times we're in relationships and we don't recognize we're starving the other person.
Say that. Yeah.
Like, we are starving them. And we expect that just goes on in perpetuity, because I don't want to kill my ego and say, I'm here, we're here together. There's no reason for you to starve. I
Right.
just don't know how to feed or meet this need yet.
Right.
I
Yes.
don't know how to meet it yet. And if I can reposition my ego to be able to say, but somebody knows how to help me. And once I get that tool, the thing that is so crazy about the ego, especially for our brothers, is that ego will tell you, can nobody help you with that? You
Right.
know how to do that already. Things are falling apart. You know how to do that. But the thing about it, once you get the tool and you're using the tool and the tool is working, whatever that is, the ability for your relationship to thrive
Yeah.
really makes you feel like the king that you really are.
Yes.
So what can you say, Ronnie, to the brothers that are like, man, I'm just gonna act like that's not broken. I don't even hear you talking. I
Yeah.
don't hear what you talking about. That counseling stuff, all that stuff, man, ain't nobody trying to do that. What
Right.
can you say to them
Yeah.
about that?
You just cannot be so stuck in your ways. We have to open ourselves up to the possibility that we don't have it right. And our SHIT does stink just like everybody else's, right? And if
That
it
part.
were me doing that, my wife and I wouldn't be as close as we are today,
Right.
and we wouldn't have been able to receive the ultimate blessings that we have in our two incredible twin boys, right? Like if
Yes.
we didn't turn the corner in our relationship based on opening ourselves up to counseling and coaching and education and fundamental things to help us, then who knows where we would have been in life. I'm in my 50s right now, so I don't think I still be at the club trying to find somebody.
Right.
But you never know at the end of the day, right? And I understand opening myself up brought so many blessings, right?
Yes.
I was
Come
that
on.
talk. I know what it is, right? Like just saying I submit and I need somebody else to pour into myself and my wife, and our relationship allowed us to get to this point where we're at. And relationship is not perfect. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
We still have challenges and how to raise our kids and how to love on each other. One of the things that you posed a question about fundamental things that we learned in counseling and coaching was active listening, right?
Yes.
And we don't practice it as much as we did initially when we were learning it, but we know when when things get heated to a point where it's getting a little crazy, we revert back to some of those things so it doesn't break so far apart, right?
Yeah.
Speak on active listening. It was very instrumental in our relationship because a lot of times people have conversations and they're not really they're hearing the other person, right? But they're waiting to fire back with their opinion, right? As opposed to active listening, you have to
Yes.
listen to the person, and then
Man.
you have to repeat what the person said to you. So you have to internalize it in that way. You're not sitting there waiting to fire back. You're closed-minded, like I'm hearing you, but I'm not really feeling you
Right.
because I want to say what I want to say. But when you're active listening to somebody, it's Shamari, this is what you did to me. I didn't feel so good about that. And she's repeating exactly what I said, right? And if she misses something, I get the chance to say, okay, you got 70% of it, but these are the two things that you missed out of it. So she's understanding and internalizing my perspective and vice versa. So that was so helpful
Yes.
in our relationship for us to understand each other's perspective.
And nobody teaches us that. So to those of you who are listening, what you just heard him say is a critical tool. What he basically said was there are a lot of conversations where we are hearing to respond or listening to respond. We're not listening to hear.
Right.
I'm just ready, like double dutch, for you to stop talking
Let me.
so that I can start talking. Or
Yeah.
better, I'm ready to interrupt you. I
That's
didn't hear what you said. Now you feel like I don't care about what you said. Now
right.
you feel like I'm not seen.
Mhm.
Now I feel like I'm not heard.
Mhm.
All of that, when all it took was literally a minute of active listening, the person repeating it, and then being able to say, oh no, babe, that may have been what you heard, but what I said was,
That's right.
and being open to let correction happen, being open to hear what the person says, digest it, and then say, okay, I didn't know what he was going to say. I didn't know what he was going to say because he didn't say it.
Right.
That's a tool. Now, what's so critical about what you said is there are so many tools. Crystal and I feel like, and we talk about it, in the area of love, especially for Black love, there's like a Home Depot of tools.
Mhm.
And we got a shoe,
And a butter knife.
a butter knife,
Yeah.
and a good song in the
It's a
background for
Yeah.
we're like, you can't build a skyscraper with that, at least not one that I'm coming into.
right.
Right.
No, nobody wants to hear that. So we celebrate you.
Absolutely.
That first of all, you're speaking truth to power. Second of all, you're letting us in. What a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
What a privilege to
Oh.
hear you all talk about your relationship with honor and with respect, and being able to say, y'all don't have to walk around tired.
Yeah.
Get a tribe, get some folks
Right.
that can help you
Yes.
do what you need to do. Now, something that you all said, I think it was you, Ronnie, where you said, I don't know where I'd be. Right? If we hadn't turned this corner. And one of the things that Crystal and I say, you know, we know where you'd be. You'd be where you've seen.
Yep.
They already made that path for you.
Yes.
When you are moving into coaching and counseling and accountability, you're saying, listen, I want to take the good, but I don't want to end up there.
Right.
And I already know where that path leads. So I already have footprints to walk that out. I want to walk out something else.
Right.
Yes.
Shamari, what was that like for you to engage in this conversation of counseling?
Well, I have always been open to counseling. So I actually just knew that it was definitely time because our relationship was in such a broken place. So I looked, I don't even know how I found our counselors because they didn't even have a web page up or anything. But I found them based on a message board or something. It was just crazy. And when I called them, they were like, how did you find us? I was like, God.
Whatever you focus on, experience. Yes.
Right, help us. And so I just missed my husband so much. I loved him so much. I was so ready and so open to receive the message from God, to receive the counseling, and to do everything that I needed to do to make our relationship work, because I knew that this is the same guy that I fell in love with 20 years ago, and I want to be with him and value, our vows and the sanctity of marriage. And so, I was very engaged when it came to counseling and very open, just ready to put the work in. And I just thank God because we were able to actually overcome it. We were actually to overcome our challenges. And, had we not done that, like we were trying to have kids for like what? We were together. We've been together for like 20 years, but we've been married 15, but it wasn't like until like maybe 10 years after we got married and we were able to overcome our challenges that God blessed us with twins.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yes, and I'm like, because before that I was like, we don't have kids yet. I don't know if I'm supposed to be with you. We've been having unprotected sex for 15 years. I ain't been pregnant yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. But then after we overcame those challenges and really put God first and knew that we was, you know, in a good place, God gave us not one but two.
What blessings.
What?
Blessings.
What?
Blessings. Oh, look at that.
Hey, what's up,
yummy.
That.
Hi, sweetie.
Okay, get out of here. Stop trying to go.
That's community right there.
To everybody that's listening, it's not easy.
Mm-mm.
It's not easy going through counseling. Like, to a certain extent, when you're beginning to unravel a lot of things that you don't understand really, and you don't know how to react to, it's not easy, because they took us past our relationship and into our parents and our grandparents' relationships to kind of really see what type of baggage we were bringing into our relationship.
Yes,
so
that's so
they had to peel back so many layers, right? And then the peeling back some of that stuff, so that we would understand, wow, because of divorce or because of infidelity potentially in past relationships before us, right? And what we may have internalized as children, right? We were potentially bringing those same things into our relationship, right? So
Absolutely.
so we got there, and then we did this thing which was a day of declaration, right? And we had to work towards this, where you know, and session after session, we would just,
it was like the 6 months of counseling
when
we did the day of declaration, where we told each other everything that we've ever done. We just put it all on the table. So now there's like nothing that anybody on the streets could tell me that my husband did already know, or nothing that anybody about me that he doesn't already know, because we've told each other everything.
And that's not easy.
No,
that's not easy. Because some things, when you hear it as a man, and I'm sure as a woman, I can't, you know, I'm not a woman.
Thank God for forgiving me, baby.
Yes, I'm sure. Thank God for forgiving me as well, right? But some of these things you potentially don't want to hear, but I mean, you have to know who it is that you're laying down with at the end of the day, so you can make real decisions about whether or not you want to move forward with that person, you know. And this is something that should happen early in the relationship, right? You should know the parents, you should know the great grandparents and all of the above, right? So you know the person that you're potentially gonna lay down with or what have you. But of course, those kinds of things don't happen nowadays, because the attraction and the sexual side of things, you know, for the most part, put before the relationship and the get to knowing a person side of things. And fortunately for my wife and I, it started that way, but it didn't end up that way for us, because a lot of the times when that happens, when you start with, you know, the infatuation and sexual side of things, a lot of times those relationships fizzle out. And we've been a part of a number of those in our past, as individuals, of course. But for some reason, you know, it was meant for us to stay together and stick through and go through some things that, like my wife said, that were meant to break any couple apart, so that we can turn that corner and get our ultimate blessings. And we're still living and learning and loving and building. You know, I love my wife and the person that she's is today, which is so different from the person that she was when I met her 20 years ago. And if you're not constantly having those conversations about who, you know, each other is, then, you know, you may miss out. And that's when strife and the breaking point begins to creep into your relationship again.
Oh, this is so good.
I love that face. Yo, Alma, I want to take a screenshot of that face.
I applaud you all. I applaud. It's good.
It's so yummy. It's so yummy.
You know, You know what? My mother used to say, leadership begins at home and spreads abroad.
Right.
And what you all are doing as leaders of your household, you're creating legacy.
Right.
And that legacy is spreading to the world. People see you, they see the Black love that you have there, and you're transparent and vulnerable that it takes work. It's not easy. It takes work. Nobody gives us a marriage handbook when we walk down the aisle, right?
Nope.
And like I said it earlier, most couples, they go and get 2 or 3 premarital counseling and then that's it, right? And they think, and you just think it's supposed to work. It takes work. So I applaud you for that. And I know that both of you, you know, your parents with twins, your business moguls. I know you're doing some real estate now. I saw that. And then you've got Shamari, you got the new album and all these things that you guys are doing. How do you protect Ronnie and Shamari time?
Ooh.
You got to schedule it, honestly. We have to actually, you have to actually put it on the books. Like if we don't do that, then life happens, right? And there's so many things that happen. I mean, we just had a COVID scare at our kids' school, right? Last one of the little babies ended up testing positive for COVID, right? Up until then, right? Our kids in school during the day, you know, we got the freedom that we have to move and shake and all the above. Boom.
Right.
In a split second, now it's virtual and they're at home again. And we don't have the time to move around and do all these different things, right? But with that said, you have to schedule it. Like you have to be intentional. Like this is this word is very key, right? It's almost like the buzzword for 2021, right? But you have to be intentional about that us time, because if not, life will happen, and before you know it, a week is gone by, a month is gone by, or so, and you haven't talked to your wife's love language, or she hasn't talked to your needs and wants, or what have you. So you have to schedule it and put it on the books. Like, look, Wednesday at 8:00 is me and you. We're gonna get a babysitter, all the above. What do you like to do? Or you like old movies or what have you? Okay, we're gonna go to the hotel and we're gonna watch some old movies together, or whatever that is, so we can fulfill those things that, you know, we need and desire as individuals.
And that doesn't make it any less effective. That doesn't make it any less special, because you have to put it on the calendar. It's real life going on. You're putting everything else on the calendar.
Right.
All the other things you're trying to make happen, all the other moves you're trying to make are on your calendar, but your relationship is not.
Right.
You're working at everything else. Look, we're trying to be financially free. We're trying to make sure our legacy is right. You put work into that, but the relationship is supposed to live off of 3 sessions of premarital counseling, and you've been married 18 years. 3 sessions supposed to last you 18 years?
No.
What else are you doing in your life? That's your requirement for excellence. There's nothing else that you're doing that you are setting up for excellence like that. So what we're saying, and we are so grateful we had your time, what we are saying to our community with love and admiration, you do not have to keep moving forward this way. You have options. The same way you go and you look for your apartment and you're like, this one, options. The same way you're picking a career, you're picking a track, you're picking a house, you're picking school for your kids. Options. The type of relationship you want to have. Options. And if you want it to be built in excellence, built with love and respect, you got to put some work in. And it's okay if your garage is not an upgraded Home Depot. it's okay if you
okay.
don't have all the tools. The question is, what you gonna do to get them?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. What you gonna do to get them? Because you can't build but so much with that butter knife. Now, Crystal, that butter knife is essential.
Mm-hmm.
But is that the best that we can do? Is a butter knife,
Right,
in building legacy?
Yeah.
yeah.
Nope.
Right. So we are delighted to even hear, you know, gosh, you all said so much. I'm going to be processing this in a happy place. I'm taking this conversation to my dreams, because I promise you, I'm like, oh, that was so yummy.
It's yummy.
I just want to have a pillow and just be like this,
Thank you.
because you all talked about getting information. You talked about being vulnerable. You talked about the love that you have for each other and showing that vulnerability. You are a beautifully splendid woman, Shamari, well accomplished.
Absolutely.
And the love that you're able to say, I love him. I want to be around him. I want him to know that we care for him. That's vulnerability. We're like, yes.
Yes.
Oh my God. All
Yes.
of it has been so good. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
With your busy household.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dogs
yeah.
and kids.
With the dogs and the kids.
These youngsters, they
gotta go to
get up and go
school.
to school. But
Class in the morning, virtual.
Yes.
I'm the teacher, you know, so
Right.
it's hard trying to get these little youngsters to, you know, pay attention, you know. But hey, gotta do
We
what I
appreciate you.
Superwoman.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, y'all are both super people
Yeah.
in our community, and we are grateful. You know, it's always cool to have the opportunity to meet people and really see the essence, you know, in whatever communication and connection God will afford. So we thank you for being a part of our community, a part of our tribe, and letting us be a part of yours, because that's what conversation does. And we invite everybody again, Ronnie and Shamari, tell our community how they can get connected to your love relationship and what's happening with the two of you now.
Well, we have our Married for Life Walk. It's our 5th annual.
Yes.
And it's on April 2nd, 2022.
Yeah.
You can go to at Married for Life Walk, of course, on Instagram,
or the number 4,
Married
number 4 Life Walk on Instagram, and married number 4 lifewalk.com.
Yeah.
And register. And our marriage counselors, dream builders, coaching, and counseling. You can find them as well.
Yeah.
And then other than that, look, I'm at Shamari Devoe on all social media platforms.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
And I'm at Big Devoe on all social media platforms.
Yes, and you can even follow our twins at Devoe Twins.
Yes,
come on, family. Come on. They like,
it's a entrepreneurs.
Listen, it's a family affair for real. And if you are part of our community, please follow them. Hear what they have to say, follow their journey so that you can be blessed. And again, to Ronnie and Shamari's community, welcome. We are so delighted that you had the opportunity to take a moment and you chose us to have this conversation with. We look forward to seeing you at Heart of the Matter Conversations on September the 18th. Tools for those of you who are single and seeking to prepare and gravitate meaningful love into your life, not only in romantic relationships, because some of what we have to work through in our community, it starts with a lot of other relationships, and where we see it play out is in the romance department. So if you're single, come and hang out with us. It's a master class on the 18th of September. Okay. And on the 19th of September, it's a master class for couples that have been married 15 years, 20 years, 5 years, just got engaged. You're trying to build forever incrementally with this person, or you trying to figure out if you should be building it with this person, that's where you need to be on the 19th in our couples masterclass. Sis, what have I missed? Girl, I'm going to be chewing on this conversation for the rest of the night. Like, for real.
What's wild is, I'm sorry, what's wild is, one of the first things in our counseling, you just said it. Martez and Wadrina were trying to figure out if we were even destiny partners, right?
Yes.
That was the first conversation, like, break this thing down and see if you guys are even supposed to be together.
Yes.
Said that. But man, amazing. I'm sorry to cut you off. Just great conversation. I see, hold on, somebody in the comments said Ronnie and Shamari should be guest counselors on Put a Ring on It.
That's so fun. That's so fun.
Yeah.
Because it's funny. And one of the things that we talk about is, you know, the show is called Put a Ring on It. And what we say is, it's not about any ring.
Right.
You don't just want a ring. You want the right ring.
That's
you
right.
want a purpose partner. You want a purpose connection. You want alignment. You want mission. You want divine orchestration. You don't just want a ring.
That's
right? So it's very clear, you know, thank you just for being an example and for being, again, Crystal said, transparent.
Right.
Transparency is a wonderful thing that we just can't get enough of in our community in an appropriate place. And we honor you for it. Sis, what have I missed?
You haven't missed it. I want to just thank you all. This has been life. And I've been reading the comments, and we are really touching souls. People are appreciating all of the gems that, you know, Dr. Nicole is known for dropping gems. But Ronnie, you've been sprinkling the tea. You've been sprinkling. So thank you guys so much.
You.
So you got to get some babies in the bed.
Yes.
We just honor you and appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. See you all soon.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
Bye.